Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
My enemies' walls are bound to crumble, and to the floor their spears will fall. I've been made and sealed with love, but time to battle, I'll find them all. I felt the whips and remember chains, but my sword has been forged by my father's flames. Fight your fears and heal your pain, and victory will be in your name.
I used to be weak, but I'm not weak no more. I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened, I'm not afraid no more. The Father blessed me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David turns Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to go meet it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them.
Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You're everything, Father. Thank you. Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of last. Send down your warriors with the hello. They carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this storm is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could it be that we decide?
No weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them.
I am a man. I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the very various radio stations, 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 RealFM Radio, 92.9 Cicero Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video stream, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever you may be joining us from this morning. A very special good morning to you. It is a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday morning in the Spice Isle of Grenada. I know that some of you are watching with anticipation because yesterday we announced that we will be having a special guest today, which is our Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Dr. Keith Mitchell, who will be here shortly, of course. Once he gets here, I will bring him on. But in the meantime, we do have some things that we need to discuss in preparing for his arrival. And of course, I would encourage you, those of you listening who have questions, who have concerns, and they want to express them, to ensure that you write them down on a piece of paper. Because I can anticipate that there are people who would want to call, and we want to keep those calls short and to the point. And I don't want you to lose track of what you are thinking. But I do want to share with you a press release that was released by the government of Grenada through their Government Information Service as it relates to the 4% salary increase. It's quite a wordy read, so bear with me. And it reads, the request by the government of Grenada to defer the 4% salary increase due in 2021 will actually cost more than if the government agreed to pay, paid the agreed upon increase on time. Given the fluidity of the COVID-19 pandemic and the continuing widespread impact, government is at this point unable to ascertain the exact period of deferral. I know yesterday, yesterday wasn't Monday. So Monday, when I was listening to a program that airs at night where the unions, along with representatives from government, were having a conversation, and the unions did allude to the fact that they were uncertain as to how long this deferral was being asked of them for. And government is saying because of the uncertainty of the situation that they themselves are uncertain as to the exact period for the deferral. However, any delayed payments means that compounded interest will apply and the burden of retroactive pay arises. Head of the government negotiating team, Honourable Oliver Joseph, said it is the first time since government returned in office in 2013 that it will have to resort to retroactive payments. And we do know of the situation of 2008 to 2013, where there were no salary increases. I believe there was one salary increase, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a salary increase that they had to pay because it was negotiated by the previous NNP government. So it is, as they're saying, the first time since this administration took office in 2013 that they have to resort to retroactive payments. Speaking on GBN Beyond the Headline program on Monday night, Permanent Secretary of the Department of Public Administration, Ms. Rhonda Jones, elaborated on this. Ms. Jones, who is also the deputy chair of the government's negotiating team, said deferring the payment really is not in the best interest of government. This is simply because we have worked very hard over the last few years to move from a situation where we have to make back payments for personal expenditure. That was a very unhealthy period in our financial history. We managed to successfully move away from that type of negotiation, and we are now at a point where we are able to project a budget for salary and wages increase that would come in a 3-year cycle. She further explained, it is not a pleasant situation that we find ourselves in, because if we do not meet the obligations of 2021, we will have a compounded percentage to pay in 2022. And this actually increases the debt burden for government to honor its obligations. The longer we protract on meeting that obligation. The 4% salary wage increase for public officers will add $13.2 million to government's annual wage bill at a rate of $1.1 million per month. Right? Ms. Jones explained that the true cost of wages and salary increases go beyond the additional money public servants receive. She said every time increases to public officers are paid out, there is an increase of increments, social contributions, NIS, and pension payments. Therefore, the perception, that 1.1 million represents the value of what is payable in wages and salaries for public officers is incorrect, right? So what she's basically saying there is that $1.1 million, you look at it and you say, well, that's just the amount that they have to pay. No, there is also additional cost to government that includes the social contributions, such as the NIS and pension payments, right? Statistics provided by the Ministry of Finance and shared with the trade unions indicate that a 4% increase will bring the government's wage bill to for 2021 to $337.6 million, up from the $324.4 million in 2020. Similarly, pension payments would increase from $46.3 million in 2020 to $48.1 million in 2021. And NIS contributions will increase from $14.1 million to $14.6 million. Government first engaged the unions in 2020 when it analyzed the impact of the pandemic on revenue collection combined with the unplanned expenditure and determined that it would be a challenge to meet the additional recurrent expenditure. At the meeting of the social partners on Tuesday afternoon, the 4% increase was also an agenda item. The Prime Minister, Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, assured attendees that in seeking a deferral, government is not questioning the legitimacy of the increase for public officers, but rather it is seeking some consideration of government's inability to increase recurrent expenditure at this time, when the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted its revenue collection. In the interest of full transparency, a government has proposed quarterly engagements with the trade union representative and the submission of quarterly fiscal statements. All right, so there you have it, a press release by the government of Grenada as it relates to the 4% salary increase deferral as they have requested. And I'm sure, as all of you can see, joining me in studio would be our Honorable Prime Minister. So while I get him prepared for this interview, we're just going to take a very, very, very short break. So we'll be back shortly as I prepare for this interview.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that are produced when someone coughs or sneezes, which makes it easy to spread between people in close contact. Now let's get prepared to stay healthy.
To reduce your chance of catching or spreading COVID-19, practice these simple everyday preventative measures. Droplets can also land on surfaces, so ensure that you wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds or sing the happy birthday song twice. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with an alcohol content between 60 and 90%. 70% is ideal.
When you cough or sneeze, cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or a tissue. Dispose of the tissue immediately and then wash your hands. If you notice someone has a fever and cough or other symptoms of respiratory illness, avoid close contact when possible. Let's all do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. Our health is our collective responsibility.
All right, guys, and we are back. And with me in studio this morning, as promised, we do have our Honorable Prime Minister who will engage with us in our first interview for 2021. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning to your listeners. It's good to be here on this Wednesday morning.
And it's good to have you.
It's a good day because we have the changing of the guard in the United States.
Yes.
In a couple hours, we have a new president.
Yes, so it's a good day all around the world right now.
All around the world, you're absolutely right.
Right, and I'm really happy that we have you. Of course, this is our first interview, and I'm sure it would not be our last for 2021. And I want to get straight into it because I know that as Prime Minister, especially in this time, your time is very precious and limited. So firstly, I just want to... I want to first ask, you've been in government for some time now, and you've seen us through many New Years, many Christmases. How different was this Christmas, this New Year, for you in government, as opposed to all of the other New Years, now that we are faced with this pandemic and you had to make so many difficult decisions in this time?
Well, it's different from the standpoint that you're clearly facing and operating within the context of a pandemic. We've never had that situation before. So in my own personal life, I value the interaction with people all over the country, and getting to people and the hugs and the shake hands and so on. It's a normal part of my own life, and even before politics. So having to operate in the context of no hugging and kissing and so on, and no handshakes and so on, even within the church community and so on. It's very difficult for me and for every single person who are accustomed with that sort of interaction. So at Christmas time, we are accustomed historically, so even those of us as we grew up in a society, Christmas time is a time when you go around and interact with friends and family members all over the place, and their gatherings together and sharing and enjoying the spirit of Christmas as a family. And that is out. That was completely out. In fact, when you're growing up, your parents cook food at home and you prepare your food, but you end up eating somebody else's food and their home, and people end up eating yours. That is how society operated. So it's been a big difference, and clearly in our situation where a lot of people are being out of work because of the pandemic, if we face the problem of the social consequences of the problem people faced in meeting the fundamental needs and a lot of the things that they normally do and want to do for their loved ones, you were not able to do it because financially the constraints were there. So it's completely different. And the New Year, similarly, usually you have all the fanfare, all the lightings and so on that we normally share and associate with those two periods of the end of the year and, of course, the beginning of the year. And clearly all this had to go down, had to be forgotten for that particular period. So it's a difficult period for every single citizen, and for leadership of the country is the same thing.
All right. Now, I know you've been asked the question, how are you coping as Prime Minister in this pandemic? But I don't think I've ever heard anyone ask, how are you as an individual? How are you coping?
Well, it's tough because you have to be home more than ever before. I have never been in a house for 5, 6, 7 hours straight without going anywhere. All our meetings are held in doing the Zoom meetings consistently. So, and that is not our style. And because while it's Zoom, you have that communication contact. Let's face it, sitting with somebody and talking to them and listening to their response, but also watching their facial expression is quite different than being on a Zoom, hearing the same response but not seeing the physical expressions and so on. That has limited every aspect of life. So it has been tough for me, and I think tough for all the members of Parliament. I had to be cautioning a lot of our members because some of them have miss the contact with people and tend to want to be out there. But it's a problem we have is that it's going out there is one thing, but a lot of our people still don't come to terms, have not come to terms with the seriousness of that disease. So you go out there and they want to come up and hug you, and which is a normal thing. And what do you say? Don't come to hug me. You have to keep telling them no. But it's not easy to do so. So you avoid being in many social activities. And that's why we have to keep urging our people, please remember, not only when I'm around, but for yourselves, protect yourself, because you and I know, maybe 5, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, some countries are doing reasonably well. Today it's a crisis. The increasing infection rates and hospitalizations in many of our neighboring countries, far more than Grenada at this point, which means that we can also face this. We face the same consequences if we do not adhere to the fundamental protocols, distancing, and of course the protocol, washing your hands regularly every time you touch something, do so. And also the question of the sanitization, as you normally do. These are things that we must not compromise on at all.
All right. Now, I'm glad you brought up the issue of some of our regional partners are now struggling with managing COVID-19. We are looking at St. Vincent, who is a very close neighbor and is now having a very difficult period. We went through our difficult period and now they are going through theirs. But there are concerns from our brothers and sisters in Carriacou and PT Martinique about the close proximity and how safe they are as it relates to travel, because St. Vincent seems to not yet really have a handle on how to deal with it. And of course, all countries can't deal with it the same. They must fix it in their own way to suit their own people. How are we preparing, or how are we as a government looking at protecting our borders, especially Carriacou and PT Martinique?
Well, the first point I need to make is that I don't think we have ever had that level of infection that St. Vincent is now going through. So the situation there is far worse than we have ever had to face, based on the numbers and the information reaching us. And of course, they have had 2 deaths already. We had 1, and somebody who came in and died not long afterwards. So we do have a special situation, and clearly with increasing rates in St. Vincent must, and Union Island is right there. Petit Martinique is almost like, Petit Martinique and Union Island is almost like one village to another in Grenada. So clearly it must concern us, and therefore steps are being taken with the community in Petit Martinique and Carriacou to limit that contact on a regular basis, because to protect themselves and to protect the people in around them, the families and so on. So there, steps are being taken. We are in the process of finalizing all aspects of the new protocol for dealing with the situation. We're working with the parliamentary offices in Carriacou and Peter Martinique and of course the police services and of course the national security as a whole and the people of Peter Martinique and Carriacou.
Okay. Now people are asking, we barely have any cases, we've handled it well. People are asking the question, why is it necessary? And I know it's been asked sufficiently and answered a lot of times, but there's no amount of time that you can answer it enough. Why are we still looking at such an extended period of a state of emergency?
Well, if emergency is put in for a period. When you go to Parliament, you put a period, but that can be, you can remove the state of emergency at any given time. The Governor General proclamation can do so. So you put it for a time, but then we monitor the situation and we can remove it as we see fit. So the present curfew, for example, if we continue to move along the lines of where we are as far as the infection rate is concerned, we may see the removal of the curfew maybe in 2-3 weeks' time. We don't know. We have to keep monitoring. This is a very dynamic situation, and that's why we take steps, but we monitor things. At this point, when I speak to you, we only have 9 cases, active cases right now in quarantine, all in quarantine. And that from a number of 142 infection over the last literally almost a year. Mm-hmm. So that's not really a bad statistics. So hopefully with the control, and maybe in another 2-3 weeks' time, if we do not get too many additional cases because the borders are still open, right, we may see we go down to almost 0 active cases. Under those conditions, we may lift curfew to a particular point because it's affecting all aspects of life in the country. So that is something that we have to do, but we have to play it by ear. We have to look at the situation on a regular daily basis and make decisions accordingly. We work very closely with the political level and the governmental leadership level with the Ministry of Health Protocol Health Division, and we monitor what's taking place regionally and internationally. And hopefully with the vaccine possibility coming on stream, but we're taking all efforts to make sure we can get the vaccine as quickly as possible. And I do want to make the point that when it comes, we will want to see our people take the opportunity to be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. I know there's this fear that, of course, anytime you're taking any health service, there is an element of risk, and we have to accept that. Anything you drink, anything you take for every medication has side effects to some extent, but it appears from scientifically that is seen as pretty safe. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I'm urging all members, I certainly will be doing, the minute I get the opportunity, I'm going to take my vaccination. And therefore, I'm urging everyone to do precisely this.
All right. Now, and this has been an issue, governments past and even present, and continues to be an issue, the matter of housing. I know this administration has done a tremendous job in collaboration with the People's Republic of China to provide as many houses as is possible. What are we looking at in terms of future? What other housing plans or projects do you guys have in the pipeline?
Well, we are certainly we are working right now with private contractors to build low-income and middle-income homes, because the persons above that level can in fact go to the banks and raise the resources to build their homes. And so far, for example, in Busheju, we are now doing a survey of the lands, additional lands that are back to where the Chinese houses are going, and cutting up areas for people who will be able to buy a plot to build their own homes, and a section where we will be building some low-income and middle-income homes. They are now doing that. The surveyors are now aggressively pursuing this. Mm-hmm. And other areas of the country will be doing precisely this. We have a serious demand on the western side in St. John's, so we're looking at some lands to be able to make that available for housing activity, because we do have to provide some serious housing units for the people of St. John's, because the whole area lands there and the lands cannot continue to be as it is right now. So there are serious needs all around the country. So the government will be placing tremendous importance on additional housing throughout the length and breadth of the country, and Carriacou in particular too.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. I know some people's minds are at ease, because housing has, of course, been a topic of conversation for time memorial, and it's good to hear that we are at a place where we can say things are continuing to happen. I can't say things are happening, because things have been happening. So things are continuing to happen. Now, we know that a lot of persons have lost their jobs as a result of COVID-19, which is a very unfortunate situation, and it puts government in a very difficult place, because now we have to look at areas in which we can generate job creation, so that these people can be gainfully employed, because of course, as we always say, government is not going to be able to take care of everyone, right? What are some of the major projects that we are looking at for 2021 that would generate that sort of employment that we're looking for?
Well, let's face it, look, as I was just indicating to the heads of the Department of Public Service and speaking to our staff in general, we have to accept the fact that we have lost an enormous amount of economic activity with the St. George's University students physically not present in the island. Mm-hmm. With that come enormous amount of revenue loss in the country for lots of businesses and different sectors of the society. The farmers have been hurt, because you're talking thousands of students buying stuff on a regular basis, and the local foods are considered to be better than what you import. So the farmers locally would have lost a lot of income. The rental units, the people building all their rental properties and were doing well, today they lost in income, with a serious income, and they are now still have to meet the bank payments. So you're talking about, and a lot of people who are working in these properties are now home. So you're talking enormous loss of economic activity in with the St. George's University out. And a lot of the restaurants and hotels facilities, the service part of the society suffered and continuing to suffer. So you have a significant drop in economic activity because of the loss of St. George's University, and affected all sectors. So with that loss, and let's face it, all the hotels now, basically, literally, if they're not closed, they're doing very little business.
Right.
So a lot of workers who normally work in the hotel industry, and all the ancillary service coming from the hotel, the vendors that used to, and these are people at the lower level of economic strata in the society, they have lost income. The taxi men, hundreds of them who did very well during when the tourist season is robust, they have lost income too. And we could just go on and on. So the thing has affected so many people.
Yes.
And they all are coming to government. Government is a source. But government also has suffered in the sense that we are not generating the level of revenue that the government normally used to. And therefore, you do have some major challenges. How do you meet those problems and to help those sectors that I just mentioned that are suffering, and at the same time be responsible as far as financing of the country is concerned? So and you have to meet your debt payments and other things that you are committed to. So this is a fundamental problem that we are all facing, and that's why we tell our public sector unions that they have to understand, while we have signed on to wage increases, that at least in their case, we are getting. I'm a public sector worker, so I get my salary every month. I should not be expecting to get further increase at this particular time, while I was not even down to get. It was the public, some workers, generally speaking, not people at the parliamentary level. But I should not be looking for that. I should be thinking about my brothers and sisters. And as it says, as Christians, we say, love your neighbor as yourself. Right. And we have to be concerned about the pain outside. Every day I get calls, and parliamentarians get calls for people who can't buy food, who need service. A lot of the mothers who are working in the hotel and ancillary services that the hotel will bring into them, they are now out of work. And many, as you know, you and I know, more than half of households in the country might be headed by women. When they're out of work, I mean, the children basically would be in some serious trouble. So we are saying at this time, we call on our workers. We said we're not fighting. We're not blaming them as such because that we have signed on to something. We're just asking at this time to defer it because of the needs out there. And even while we want them to do so, even then we still have major challenges in helping some of the people that we have no choice but to help. And I make the point. What is to say we don't have further challenges? We might not even be able to pay the salaries that we are now paying. And hopefully, with God's help and with our prayers, that we would see no further deterioration in economic activity in the country. So I think we should be feeling very fortunate. Many countries, the workers are not being able to pay. Some countries, people are getting bonds for commitments of government in several areas. So I'm making the point that we have to be concerned. In fact, I believe those of us who are working should reach out to in our communities and provide some help. If you look at what is happening in big countries, that can print money, we can't print money. You see thousands of cars line up to go into food banks, looking for food. And some people are so embarrassed, they're telling you straight that in their entire life they've never had to beg for food. And if they're begging for food in the United States and Canada and other countries, you could understand the tremendous pain that is being impacted on people all around the world. And therefore we have to feel a sense of, we haven't seen that level of desperation in Grenada, but there are indeed a lot of pain outside there. And we need to be more concerned about our brothers and sisters who are under serious stress outside there. And government has a fundamental responsibility to see how we can help.
All right. Well, I mean, when you think about it, it's a very somber situation, thinking about all of those people who are really, and there are people out there who are struggling and for reasons of pride will not reach out.
Yes, it's pride. It's hard to go and beg for food if you never did that before. Yes.
So it's a difficult situation. Now, what are some of the, not just as Prime Minister or former Minister of Finance, but looking from an economical point of view, what are some of the repercussions? Let's say that the unions decide, okay, we are not going to settle for the deferral. We want our promised increase. What are some of the repercussions that we are looking at financially as a country on the recurrent side of our budget?
Well, if the government can't pay, we can't pay. So I don't know how anyone could force the government to do what it cannot do. I mean, and that's not a case of being arrogant. I hope it's not seen like that. This is just being practical. I believe the unions generally, while might see some posturing, I believe they understand. And they live in the society. They have families who are also suffering, members of the union. So I believe that while they may not be saying so publicly, I think they understand, and I believe we'll get the level of cooperation going forward. And we're saying that we'll work together and see how and when and how we can be able to meet those commitments. In any event, it is not in government interest if we had the resources to defer it, because it means it will compounded payment, not compounded interest, but compounded payments that we'll have to make, and we're going back to paying back pay. So what you call back pay then, which is something we wanted to do away with. So I believe we'll get the cooperation and the tone I see so far while we hear the requests to meet it. I think people clearly understand, and we live in a society that we have to interact with each other. I believe that we'll get the cooperation. So I don't know what government can do. We can't go and borrow money to pay salaries in this time, because we'll take, in any event, the institutions that are helping us, we can't take the funds that they're giving us to pay increase in salary. We won't see a dime again if we do this. And so therefore, it's creation of jobs, the investment in capital programs, to see the PSIP. So the more projects you implement public sector wise, and with the private sector projects to encourage them, and to provide, government has to provide a catalyst to get these projects on and fast. We have some major opportunities ahead of us with the range project committed to start in St. David's. They already start to some extent, not hiring of a lot of people yet, but the projects have started. Similarly, Manhattan project, which is a big one, will be, when it's on, it will be providing hundreds of jobs. The project in Livera would also bring tremendous opportunity, particularly in the northern part of the country. And the owners of Silver Sand, they have 3 other major projects that are going to be starting. In fact, they're waiting on us to get approval to move forward with their projects. And so they are exciting projects. And therefore, if the public sector projects come on stream, like the buildings that we have to do, the roads, infrastructure projects of different parts of the country, because the funding, because their capital programs are there. Then and with hopefully with the citizenship by investment program continuing to give us the kind of resources we need, I think the prospects look good. And that's why I say to my public servants, brothers, teachers, and so on, that I don't see us having to go through that hopefully any length of time without being able to meet that commitment. But we couldn't give them a date, and that would be irresponsible of me or any member of the government to say we're going to pay in May, or we're going to pay in March, we're going to pay in December. That would be highly irresponsible, because we won't know exactly what the turn of events will be. So we'll monitor together. It's our country. It's not Keith Mitchell country. It's a country that belongs to all teachers, all public servants, and all members of the society.
All right. Now, as constituents of yours, of course, and all constituents of St. George Northwest, the Molyneux Road project is a big concern.
It affects me. I have to go drive every time I go up to my area, whether to visit people or to even see my mom. I have to go through this narrow path of road, and it's unfortunate. It's difficult for the people of Montmorris, who now have to deal with major vehicle of trucks and buses passing through the community. So that disrupted the life of the people of Montmorris and all the areas, Molyneux and so on. It's a major problem for all of us.
It is. So how, I know that the Minister for Infrastructure yesterday stated that the survey has been done and completed, and the report is being compiled. So we are looking now at what the solution will be as it relates to that project, and of course the entire Western Corridor as well, because this is something that has happened, but there are more instances like this that may happen. And how are we looking at it going forward? What are we looking at as possible solutions for dealing with this situation?
Well, first of all, we have to study those things technically, all the areas where we have problems. So right now we as you say, indicated that we have the the study's been done, now the report is being compiled. After that, then we look at it will tell us whether we continue to rebuild that section of road or we have to have another bypass, another major road. I think from indication it appears that alternative road would be going to be the result, but I can't say that for a fact because we haven't seen the report yet. And that, of course, will cost a lot of money. So monies that could have gone to doing other activities now have to be switched to doing that additional, because that's the main road on the western side of the country. And that includes, therefore, we have to do all the studies up to the western side, because we still have sections where some stones and boulders coming down on the western side. And we remember what happened in Cotomeli some time ago. So we don't wish to see another Cotomeli in our country. So there's going to be some serious work continuing going forward, which of course will affect the government finances and, of course, the ability of the government to meet other responsibilities.
All right. Now, what we're going to do at this time, I'm going to open the lines because I know there are persons wishing to call. Some people have already started calling, even at the beginning of the program. Guys, the number to call is 440-7377 if you are calling locally. If you are in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, the number to call is 347-329-3101. Also, keep in mind that we are taking WhatsApp calls at 440-7377, and you can send your questions on the live video stream or send us a WhatsApp question as well. Please keep in mind that the questions should be short and to the point because we want to facilitate as many as possible. We have our first caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan. Good morning, Prime Minister Mitchell. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing okay.
Oh, good to hear you. All the best for 21 and beyond.
Thank you.
All right. So, private sector representative in the Senate, right, Christopher Diali,
yes,
has said that businesses, particularly those in the tourism and hospitality sector, are likely to fold by June or July of this year if they do not get the necessary government support to keep the engine running and stay afloat. What is your response to his expression, sir?
Well, government has a responsibility to meet with our stakeholders, and the private sector area is a major part of the of economic activity. So we are not shocked because I think we know the situation is serious, but hearing the voices of the private sector is also important. So we'll be meeting with them. We'll see how we can work together to solve at least partially some of the problems. The government will not be able to, of course, to do all that may be necessary, but certainly we should be able to find some solution going forward. So we will be engaging them because we would hate to see businesses go down the drain and lose permanently the jobs that we created. And of course, send a level of frustration and anxiety and stress level in the society, because some of these businesses are family-owned investment of not just one member. Lots of members of the family have got together and invest all that they have. So we hate to see that. It can create an enormous level of not just problems economically, but also socially in the country. So we would certainly want to meet with them, and I certainly will be engaging them shortly.
Okay. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Hello, caller, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Good morning.
What's up, Mr. Prime Minister? I'm calling from New Hampshire with this area.
Yes.
And I want to wish you, Prime Minister, the best for the new year.
Right, thank you, and I wish everybody there too.
Prime Minister, I'm calling with one word here in mind. What vision? Prime Minister, I'm satisfied to see the vision you had for that road for the from Willis to Grenville Vale. Now we are seeing the use of that road, sir, because of the traffic, because of the breakaway traffic from the Molina area. And secondly, sir, I heard the Minister of Infrastructure spoke yesterday, and he was speaking about that byway road again from the Monkuma area back to Grenville.
Yes.
Which is, I think, is a very good vision, sir.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that to see in the future, whenever that will come. Another one, sir, is that road. We know the history of that road. That's my pet road. That's the road I travel every day. Because as a farmer, I use the Mango Road back to Annadale.
Yes.
So there's a concern too, because when we have a problem, let's say at the bridge, we have the vehicles passing up the mountainside, and it's very difficult. I know the situation. I know the issue behind that road. So it should have been better than that.
Yes.
And secondly, but finally,
yes.
I want to thank the Ministry of Agriculture for the assistance program which we had given to the farmers. I was a beneficial of it, and I'm happy and thank you for it, and hoping that in the future that I will benefit again, sir.
Yes, good.
Thank you, sir. This is Prime.
Well, thank you very much for your observation. I think the point you make on that road, because I always felt that road was a necessary road for economic and activity, tourism and agriculture, Grenville Village, New Hampshire. And that was the real purpose behind the construction of that road. And of course, for the villagers in the community too. But as fate has it, if we had not built that road and have it ready, and it's one of the better roads in the country right now, we'd have been in serious trouble. But the problem that I think we have on the road is that with the heavy traffic, that section and the deep corner as you turn up, going up to Lower New Hampshire, right by the Roberts corner, by the Roberts family there. It's that is tough for heavy vehicles and for the community. So if we are able to construct that road, which is I've directed the Ministry of Works to do that, the Monkuma Road that can. So if someone is going to St. George's, for example, instead of coming all the way up to New Hampshire and to top New Hampshire and coming through Constantine, they make a right turn on Monkuma and they end up almost in Bolio, basically. And that road is not very long, so that will shorten the time of travel for them to get to St. George's and provide enormous relief for the people in that community. And you said the same thing, because if we had not built that road in Molinier, that was another road. We had all stones in that road. We had to blast stones and stones in that road where we're now passing now. If we had not done this, we would have been in serious trouble with the loss of the main road and Molinier there. So clearly, my brother, that these are things that we have to deal with. We didn't plan for it, but if we had not done something before, we'd have been in far more difficulty. I just want to say to the people of New Hampshire, and I did to the people of Mark Morris, we understand what is happening to you. It has really affected the lives of the people in those areas. But we must say you have demonstrated patience and understanding. And while it's affected you negatively, I've not seen people reacting in a way that we do not understand. So I want to just thank the people of New Hampshire and the people of Mark Morris and all the areas where people are now having to change and modify their lives to deal with the changing circumstances. I want to thank them.
All right, great. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Uncle. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
How are everything?
Good, my brother. Good to hear you.
Doc, I want to support the government 100% in the decision that they made in bringing back the Grenada Electricity Company back in the hands of the Grenadian people. Because when you look at the situation, because with the high cost of electricity, many people complain about factory, agro-industry. But look at the cost of electricity bill. It is difficult for any investors to go and open agro-industry place. But I could say right now, the electricity company back in the hands of Grenada, you have the price of electricity will go down. It will not go down now, but the people of Grenada, everyone, I can understand how someone between Berry here, knowing that the government made a good deal to bring back the electricity company back in the hands of Grenadians, and people opposing it. They're opposing it. Because even these people who are opposing it, they need to cry out about the high cost of electricity bill. They need to cry out, but now we come back, they're still opposing. They're still opposing. I want to say it to the Grenadian people. One thing I will say that again. You know, sometimes people have this tendency when you price of something is very high, you make more money. Well, I will say like, okay, you price high. A lot of people want to get into electricity, but because of the high cost of electricity, they stay out. But when you price up, people that do not have electricity in their home, they can get electricity. Look at the telephone companies. We see what competition cause. Because of competition, you liberalize the telephone company. Where the price go down, more people engage with the telephone company. You know, when you look at a man has 2 phone, 3 phone. A 3 phone, it is good. So I want to say to the Grenadian people, put politics aside. And if you say you love the country, if the government is doing something that is right, it mightn't be popular, but it's something that is right, and it will benefit each and everyone, even those that are opposing, it will benefit them. So I have to say to you, let's put the politics aside, let's come together to build our country. When we say we love our country, we would not do nothing to stop the development and growth in our country. So that you all have a wonderful government.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, and just to say that you're on target there, because you know, let's face it, we have to accept that the decision in '94 to sell it and to give it away, and to put the owners the conditions of control of the company and operation, that almost all total control over whatever happens to electricity was a terrible decision. And in my view, there are some issues that should not become political. Now, when I talk about the electricity company and services of this nature, I don't talk about it as an NNP. I talk it as a Grenadian. And I believe that whatever political party you support, and you have a right to support party of your choice, you should never put party before country. Party comes second. And I always tell people, when I leave this and I'm in this political arena as a citizen, if the NNP does something that is not right, I'm not going to support it. I'll probably still support my party, but I will not support something because if the party does it, be aware your country comes first. And I think that's something that I would always call people to do what is right for your country. Some people initially we shouldn't have bought it, we shouldn't have got it, we had all sorts of nonsense being said. When the facts came out, who were responsible for the mess that we were in with that company, then they're now saying where the money come from. If the money is our money and we use it to buy to pay back, and we then initiate the buyback, is the government then who put the condition that forced us to buy it back? Otherwise, with 80 years, all of us would be dead and grandchildren would be dead. And these people would be just ripping off profits and making hundreds of millions of US dollars of the electricity company while we suffer the inability to expand our economy in our country. So I just want to make it clear that I have no apologies whatsoever. And to make about the actions of this government. This was the right thing to do. It is the best for the country, and I want to make this point. The brother pointed that out. It must not be the perception that electricity prices overnight will drop. This is something, a work in progress. So we'll be keeping the nation abreast of what is taking place in going forward with the shares that we have now acquired and how we'll divest it to the public in Grenada and, of course, Grenadians who are interested in general. But it will not be overnight because the company has to be a viable entity. And therefore, the rules can be put in place. The Public Utilities Commission, the PUC, would also be involved, and the conditions are going to be set. But I think we will see, in the medium term to long term, an excellent opportunity for all Grenadians.
Absolutely. We have a caller on the WhatsApp line. Hello, good morning.
But I think we will see.
Hello, caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you lower the volume of the device you're listening on, please?
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, Honorable Prime Minister.
Morning.
I want to wish you all the best for 2021.
Thank you.
And I'm happy that the government is now able to have Grenlec back under Grenadians control. It was a really bad thing that was done in 1994. I don't know how any government would have think of giving away, I wouldn't say selling, but giving away
that's right.
our electricity company when it was on the verge of development. Yes. Because I remember the rural development electrification program and when it started, and I think that's what WRB saw.
Yes,
they saw the development.
Yes.
But as usual, the government of the day had no foresight, and they still don't have the opposition. They are the opposing party now. They're in opposition now, and they still don't have any foresight. So NDC made a bad deal. They made a bad deal, and I'm happy that we are able to have it back. And continue,
yes,
Mr. Honorable Prime Minister, to do the great job that you are doing. People are going to criticize, and as even the Bible says, a man has no honor in his own country, but we know that you have our respect, the people that love you, and we respect you, and we have your back. So stay strong.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day, Ms. Duncan, and Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, and certainly I believe in our case we have honor. I think the people are giving us honor. You would get criticism. That's a natural part of life, and you will never be able to satisfy everybody, and that's the nature of political life or any kind of life in our society. So, but we are confident that this thing will work out and that most people will come to terms with this.
All right. I have a caller on the line. Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Sister Doctor.
Good morning, Miss Jacob.
Good morning to you, my darling. And good morning to my beautiful, handsome Prime Minister. Good morning, Doc. Good morning.
Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. And my mommy tell me to tell you good morning too. And you should know your mommy is my mommy. I just don't talk to her.
I can imagine. You tell her I'm on the program.
Yeah, man. Tell her that. Well, God bless you, and God bless for what you are. God bless you for 2021 with health. We need our health and strength.
That's right.
And Doc, those are the people that criticizing you, and they can't do nothing.
That's
they
right.
can't even self-sign themselves, much less to.
Don't worry.
So Doc, God bless you, and I love you and my mommy.
Thank you. I love you too. And take care of yourself.
Darling.
And stay,
God bless you. Love
and
you,
stay
darling.
safe.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe and take care of yourself.
Yes, Doc.
Right.
All right, Miss Jacob. Goodbye. All right, we have a question on the WhatsApp. Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister. With the implementation of the high cost of testing, which persons coming in now have to pay, has resulted in a tremendous amount of cancellation of tourists coming into hotels, which resulted in most hotels, if not all, cutting at least 50 to 75% of their staff. We understand that everything comes with a cost, but does government have any plans to review this high cost, keeping in mind the negative effects it now has on households across the nations by those layoffs?
But the truth is, I'm not sure it is accurate to say the increase in testing is responsible for the layoff and the reduction in tourist arrival in the hotels. I think the problem is the pandemic basically is responsible. But before, in fact, when it was free, we still had very little persons in the hotels. So I don't think it is correct to say so. The fact is it costing government a lot of money to do those tests and to acquire the tests and to, of course, to perform it. We have to pay staff workers and so on to do the work. We have contact tracing all over the place that we have to do when people come in and there's a possibility of infection, and we have to spend a lot of resources. So it costs a lot of money, and government does not have the resources. So it means, therefore, someone has to meet some of the costs, and we still are spending a lot of money in addition to what the people have been asked to pay. But don't forget, this is a temporary measure. With the vaccine coming on stream, there will be no testing after people have been vaccinated. We won't have the testing thing activity anymore, at least not that level. So I don't think it will be a permanent situation. So hopefully, with the vaccination coming and countries and all over the world making sure that people are vaccinated and therefore are able to travel and not cause problems in the areas and the countries they travel to, I think we'll see that problem being reduced considerably. So I think this is a temporary problem, and I think we have no choice but to deal with it accordingly.
Okay. Another question on the WhatsApp. Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister. Does the Ministry of Youth have a facility and email address where unemployed youths can send their CV or resume to?
Yes, certainly. You can just call the ministry, any one of the ministries, and get the information. They certainly do. I can't give you right now. I don't have it at the top of my head, but certainly they do. And we welcome this because there are a lot of opportunities coming up for young people. Okay. And therefore we should get in the top of the line as quickly as possible.
We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Hello, caller, good morning. Hello? Seems like we've lost that caller. Another individual here is asking Mr. PM, and this is from your constituency. Let's take the call first, and then we'll go back to the WhatsApp question. Hello, good morning. Nope, seems like we lost that call as well. So the individual is asking, Mr. PM, a box drain was opened in Calabash Alley, in the Grand Mall, in the bottom of the road, and water collects... okay. I want to read it in the way it is written, but in the bottom of the road to collect water, and all the water is coming down on the people in the middle. Okay. When rain falls, it's like a river of water. What can be done?
Well, certainly I'm not aware of that specific problem, so I will pass it on to the constituency office and the persons responsible for dealing with this matter. But please, whenever you have a problem in the constituency or in every constituency, please don't wait for a program of this nature. Make sure you call the office and register with every office. Have a ground line, and they have cell phones available you can make contact with and get the information to the manager of the office and the staff, and I will certainly get the information. The representative would get, so not just Northwest St. George's, any constituency. That's and the people and the staff are being paid not by us individually, by the taxpayers of the country, so that we have a responsibility to respond accordingly to the needs of our constituents.
Absolutely. We have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Good morning.
And good morning to the Honorable Prime Minister.
Good morning, my dear.
How are you?
Doing fine, recognizing the problem that we all have to face.
Yes, all we need to do is to continue praying.
That's right. And nothing can replace that.
That's it. Anyway, I have a little concern. I'm calling from the Northeast. And like when the big trucks coming in, from Constantine coming in, and as we have the school is on.
Yes.
I mean, I know some of them are really familiar with the roads and things, but however, when they coming in, they will blow and blow and blow. Remembering that the children are in class.
Yes.
You know, so I don't know if you'll have somebody speak to the truckers and them that lower it down a little bit.
Yes.
And when they move from there, then they could keep on blowing on stuff like that.
That's very reasonable, my dear.
Pardon?
I say that's very reasonable suggestion. I think people have to understand.
Yeah, because when you don't know, you just don't
know. I think the truckers themselves might not have been aware. I think we can help with public announcements too, in using programs like this to mention to the truckers to be aware of that problem.
Yes, Prime Minister. And also we have some of the potholes.
Yes.
I know you are trying,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But however, we can get everything done at the same time. But however, we'll still...
We check the potholes. We know there are a number of roads, including New Hampshire, where potholes are emerging. But the Cox Minister of Education, of Infrastructure, is looking at a plan of action to start filling up the holes around the country, and including New Hampshire area. So we recognize that problem. I've seen it when I drive around myself. So I know what you're saying is real. So we'll do what we can, my dear. And I want to congratulate you for appreciating the problem government face and the fact that we can't do everything overnight. But we are trying, and we'll do what we can.
Last but no means least, I want to say to you, God's richest blessing on you. And as we continue to move on, we'll always keep on praying for you and with you.
Thank you, my dear.
And my granddaughter always say, Grandma, see Prime Minister, you know. We passed Prime Minister. We went by Prime Minister to sing Happy Birthday and things like that.
Your little ones.
Yes.
They are
So
our
you
future.
Take care, Prime Minister.
Thank you, my dear, and thank you for your prayers,
blessing
and thank you for your love.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
But
you.
you know who it is speaking, eh?
Not really. Didn't pick up the voice.
Been meeting with you, but being as nice, giving trouble.
Not the voice. I didn't pick up the voice.
You didn't pick up your voice?
No.
You sound older or younger?
I don't know. I can't tell. If I don't pick it up, I can't know whether it's older or younger.
Okay.
Take care.
Prime Minister Miss Noriega.
Oh, my God. All right. Take care, my love. Take care. Love you. Love you.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye.
All right. I know time is upon you. So I just want to quickly ask you, now that we are in the middle of COVID-19, we are by far not even sure when we are going to see an end. What do you want to say to the people of Grenada and, of course, the people in the diaspora? How can we all help in this fight against COVID?
Well, as I said, we can help, one, protect ourselves. If each of us protect ourselves, then the problem would be considerably taken care of, because infection can only come when one person refuse to wear a mask and do the social distancing, and of course they obey the protocols, and the other person do the same thing. Or one person does it and the others do not do it. So if every one of us follow that, we'll not have major problems. Because even as the border opens and we have a problem with somebody coming from outside, the chances that they infecting you are much lower than if you are well protected, following the protocols that we established. So that is the first thing I believe that I would like everyone to do. You would play a major part in the solution of the problems we now face by observing and encouraging others. And you know, sometimes you see your brother. I've gone places and I see friends of mine without a mask, and I say, man, where is your mask? And they take it out of the pocket. Some of them have it, you know, take it out of the purse. No, wear the mask. Protect yourself, protect your family. So I think that those observations are going to be important. But another point I want to make, recognizing that the virus, this COVID-19 has forced a lot of us into serious problems financially and otherwise, and unable to meet our needs. I believe those of us who can cope need to help each other. That's another thing. Reach out. And also, sometimes we might be neighbors of yours, or people who might be having problems, and you know it, but we don't know it. Let us have the information so we can reach out in the different constituencies and help people who are badly in need. And I ask those of us who are getting help, some of us want everything, and we're not behaving as if this is a special time. So all that they used to get before, they want the same amount today. It cannot happen. So I ask for understanding and patience as we go forward. And that is something I certainly would want to leave everybody with.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much, because I know you're busy. You have a
But
busy
I also
schedule.
want one last thing to mention that we did not talk about. There was an incident today at the stadium, that we must talk about, because it's extremely unfortunate. As I think the Minister of Works explained yesterday on the post cabinet. And but I urge everyone to understand the delicate situation. You know, I don't see how anyone could go in a particular area and watch poor people trying to earn a livelihood and remove the coverage and the time where the people are sitting there, I find it's a heartless thing. And you know, and that those persons, I say to the government, I mean, I don't think you should want to engage that contractor again providing any service, because it shows if the contractor, not the workers, were the one involved, I would say that shows a high level of insensitivity and lack of understanding of the present problems that we face, and the understanding as a Christian nation that we should love each other. But I also make a point to the vendors. Imagine with some vendors making statement the government don't care and so on. We just went Christmas time when we heard the problem some of them are facing. And I don't know which ones were making the noise and running them out loosely and so on. And we went and we gave each one $2,000, those who were suffering. And some of them said they had the best Christmas. They were providing transport to take the workers back to the places. We're encouraging people to go to the stadium. How could a government that done all this thing, giving you regular support, all of a sudden overnight become a heartless, uncaring government, as some of them have said? It's very unfortunate. So I must tell our vendor brothers and sisters that you must not allow people to do things that get you to curse the government. You must know when you see something happening that this is not the government. This cannot be Keith Mitchell-led government, because we have always demonstrated care for people, love for people first. And anywhere we hear a problem of people suffering, we move fast to deal with it. So I just want to, I had to comment on this. I am not mad with anybody, but I just say be careful. There are people outside, they won't want you to curse the government. So they will do things. In the public service, the government, politicians have no control over everything a public servant does out there. A public servant may do something because he's upset with the government and he wants to make the government look bad. So be careful when you see something that's inconsistent with the government's social philosophy. A policeman might be out there. Not every policeman will support the government. Some of them may do things just to get the government, people to curse the government. So be aware that we don't send every public servant outside there to do a work. So when you see something that's inconsistent, let us know. We will deal with them accordingly.
All right. We have somebody who has been very persistent in their calling. So we'd quickly take this very last call for the morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, caller, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
All right, if I go look while I try, I'll get you.
Yes, you are very persistent.
Yeah, I tried. I must start good morning to you. Thanks for your good work that you did.
Yes.
For we are the Grenadian people. And then I have a little announcement to make that for the St. Dominic Southeast School in Pedmota, the crossing sign between the Laura and Beaton Crossroad need to paint up a little bit. So see what you can do for me, please. Calling from Laura Land inside of St. David. All right.
Okay, is that it? Okay, yes.
Okay,
yes.
So take care.
Yes, I just want to read this comment here to you. It reads, our Prime Minister wishing you and your government a blessed and successful 2021 and beyond. I would like to say I'm so proud of you and the government for the job well done over the years. I pray God will continue to keep you healthy and give you wisdom in your decisions.
Thank you so much, and to all the people of listening to this program and the countries as a whole. Stay safe, be careful. This virus is raging still, so I want to see everyone without serious health problems caused by this virus. So stay safe, protect yourself, protect your family. All the best.
All right, and we thank you so much for taking the time to come out and speak with us. Guys, we're going to take a short break while our Prime Minister departs, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen in with us this morning. We'll be right back.
These are your government notices for today, Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. I am Carly. Hello. These are your government notices for today, Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. I am Caroline Peters. The Ministry of Health in Grenada has launched its Protect, Respect, Always Wear Your Mask COVID-19 prevention campaign. The objective is to encourage the Grenadian public and visitors alike to wear a face mask when in public spaces to prevent the spread of coronavirus on the island. The campaign, which promotes the personal, economic, health, and social benefits associated with the proper and continued wearing of the face mask, has attracted the support of top government officials, business operators, community leaders, groups, organizations, and individuals who are lending their voice to help spread the message. The general public is hereby informed that the retail prices of petroleum products such as gasoline, diesel, kerosene, and liquefied petroleum gas, also known as cooking gas, in the state of Grenada will be as follows. Gasoline is now $13.86. Diesel is now $13.09, and kerosene is $7.27. The 20-pound cylinder of cooking gas is $40. The 100-pound cylinder is now $187.30. In Carriacou, gasoline is now $14.04. Diesel is now $13.27, and kerosene is now $7.46. PT Martinique gasoline is now $8.54. Diesel is now $7.77, and kerosene is now $7.46. The 20-pound cylinder of cooking gas is $49, and the 100-pound is now $210.30. The Ministry of Tourism and the Grenada Tourism Authority have launched a new hotline which will specifically deal with travel-related inquiries. This hotline is considered necessary by tourism officials to assist travel agencies, tour operators, visitors, or returning nationals with general inquiries about entry protocols, guidance on where to stay or where to go during a visit to Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. The following are the hotline numbers. Toll-free US only 1-888-251-1732, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Worldwide 1-213-283-0754, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Callers on island 440-0670, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. For further information on travel requirements, visit covid19.gov.gd or puregrenada.com. And now for your government reminder. The Fisheries Division of the Ministry of Sports, Culture and the Arts, Fisheries and Cooperatives hereby advise seafarers and the general public to exercise extreme caution in and around the waters of Grenada, Carriacou and PT Martinique. In recent days, there has been an increased sightings of sharks in the marine environment of neighboring Eastern Caribbean islands. The public is encouraged to be vigilant when venturing out to sea. Fishermen and the general public are also advised to report all sightings of sharks to the Fisheries Division and the Coast Guard. These have been your government notices for today, Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. I am Caroline Peters. Until next time.
HARDTALK, and for those of you tuning in on the live video, you'd see next to me I have my co-host who has joined me in studio just to say good morning because we don't have much time left. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning to you, Ms. Duncan, and good morning to all our listeners. Just that you know, I was evacuated out of the studio by Ms. Duncan. She had special guests today, so she didn't want my presence, but that's all right. You know, I would always give way to the Honorable Prime Minister, whom I thought gave us, you know, a lot of information, some of which we already knew, but as normal people would always want to know more, would like to hear more, would like that reassuring word coming from the Prime Minister and political leader of the country. And I think that was good for 2021. It's a good place to start. And of course, I do hope that with all of the challenges that we face now, and there are many, and the number one among them being the pandemic, the COVID-19, that we'll still have some hope and have some faith, and of course, working together as best as we can, and giving a chance to each other. You know, that is also very important because everyone has their say, everyone has a rationale for what they want or what they'd like to have or why they're doing whatever they're doing. So we need to give a chance to each other, and we must have some level of understanding and a bit of patience to it. That is also very important because looking at the live while the program was going on, or while the interview was happening with Prime Minister, you saw a lot of comments coming up about that piece of drain, a road, and one understands. I mean, as a constituent, as a villager, wherever, whichever part of the island you are in, and especially the fact that we are so small and closely knitted, and with social media and everything that happens in one place is being seen and known everywhere else. Some people may be of the opinion, why is a drain being done in this community, or a piece of concrete road is being done, or a back wall, and nothing is happening in my area and nobody is doing anything for me, my representative. And sometimes it's not that. It's about when there's available funds, you do some level of prioritizing at times because you have to. The fact that you don't always have enough, I should say, to share it equally, you sometimes just have to prioritize. And even in prioritizing, it is the information that is available to you that you would use to make a decision. And so sometimes if the information that you get is tainted, the results from your choices will be tainted to a certain extent, and you may soon realize that there was another area or another issue, another project that was probably a better one to do before the one you do. But be that as it may, I still ask for calm, I still ask for patience. Let's highlight the issues that we have in a respectable manner. Yes. And of course, our officials, I also hope, will listen, and they oftentimes do, and will try their very best to do what they can about it. But all in all, I thought it was a tremendously good program, a good interview, a lot of information given out. I thought a PM did use the time to explain, and he spent a lot more time than he initially said he would because of several other engagements that he had for today. And so I want to, on behalf of myself and the HARDTALK family, thank the Honorable Prime Minister for being here this morning, and really do hope that having led the process as the leader, that we would see much more of our high or officials who sits at high office, maybe once a week or one per week, not once per week, but one per week, may appear on this program.
And I'm glad you said that, because there were some questions that were asked, and to those of you who asked those questions, you may say that we didn't ask your or put your question forward to the Prime Minister, but some questions are better answered by the line minister or the minister responsible for that ministry.
Yes.
We do have a caller on the line, Mr. Bola. So since you're here, let's just take a call.
Do we have a lot of time left?
We have some time. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Stacy.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine.
Yeah, you all not taking no calls on the program again, huh?
Well, we're live and you are live, and the Prime Minister's interview has ended, but you're live. You want to share some information?
Okay. But I hear Bola speaking.
Yes, and he's right here next to me in studio.
He's right next to you?
Yes, you are live on the program.
Okay. Well, I didn't even know that.
Well, just for your information, I am sitting in the chair that the Prime Minister was sitting in. I am not the Prime Minister, neither his representative.
Mr. Bola, who tell you could sit in the Prime Minister in the chair that the Prime you want to be like the Prime Minister?
No, sir.
All right.
That's the chair that was made available for me to sit when he vacated it.
Yes, you're humble servant. Yes, you're humble servant.
Okay.
Yes.
So how are you, bro?
Not bad.
All the best for 2021. Do you want to tell us something or ask something or?
Well, yes,
or play something?
I need to make brief comment on something. Now, we just go to 2020 under US with COVID-19, and still for all I'm hearing people, whether it's opposition on the opposition side or John Public per se, I hear them talking about the government has not done anything, or they're not doing anything, they have not seen anything done. But I recall in 2008 when there was a great recession in the country. The then government at the time, instead of deal with the issue of the recession, they choose not to deal with the issue, but has an internal differences and fighting and who they want and who they didn't want. For 4+ long years, they've been fighting. Now we have 2020, an issue that we deal with COVID. And the government has done a tremendous work, thanks to the Ministry of Health, headed by Nicholas Steele and the COVID committee. And I think what I have seen and the amount of work that they do when the time was eased off for the country to get back on foot. Mr. Bola, there is no other history in Grenada for a government that has done more than the NNP for the last year I have seen. I asked the Prime Minister in a town hall meeting, where did they get money to do all this thing and we locked down so much? In a short area, I see so much work was going on. I was very amazed. In St. David, Oliver Joseph did a lot, and I could commend him for that. And he continued to stand tall among the people here. And we will defend him all where we go in all walks of life, because he's doing a great job for the country and the constituency as a whole. So I want to let some of these people who has the negative way of looking at things change the attitude and look at it positively. Look at how much money the government has been spending on helping the less fortunate over these last few years, and we're still under COVID watch. Come on. It's time that they should get a grip and see. We come out from a recession into a COVID, and thanks to the NNP government that take us from the recession, and now we face with COVID internationally. This is a plus for the government. A team that works together always get the problem solved together. And that is the best team I had ever governed the country of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique. I don't think there will ever be a better team than that to come. So, you people inside it, you Honorable Bola and Stacey, continue to spread the good news and continue to let people know that this government is not only a government for the NNP people, it's a government that look after the needs of each and every individual in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We thank you very much. I'd just like to say to the caller, we appreciate your concerns, but just remember, you would always have negativity. You would always meet negative people. Even amidst all of the positivity that would happen, there would always be people who will only focus on what's negative. Your role, your responsibility as a member of the party, as a supporter of the party, is to continue to spread the good, positive work that the party is doing with whomever you meet, wherever you go. And of course, those who are bent on creating negativity and condemnation and not appreciating what was done will always be who they are. It's good to call on them to make a change, but I dare say it may take a while. I mean, I am not hopeful to see a lot of change in them, but I am grateful for the change that this government and this party is making in this country, the positive change that they're doing. So I just want to advise you and many others who, like you, who know, who see, who understand, spread what you know. For too long, some of us remain silent, and we only speak when we want to complain about what is not being done by others. But we have a responsibility, and I know there are more people who believe and see the positivity. So if we speak, we can really overshadow and overcome those who speak negativity.
All right, we can take one more call. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
It's good to hear the Prime Minister speak this morning.
Yes, it was.
It's good to hear the Prime Minister speak this morning.
Yes, we heard you, and we were happy to have him, and we hope, in not too long from now, we can have him again. Because he excites the nation when he speaks. People listen, and, they feel good.
They always say, until the Spirit of God, when God clean the leper.
Yes.
Yes, according to say this, leper cannot clean himself. It's the only God we have to clean it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yes, so what I'm trying to say is those who are responsible for whatever happened today, I thank God for Dr. Keith Mitchell to release it a while, and wherever if Grenadians learn to sit down and listen to Parliament properly, they will know what's going on.
True. Well, some do and some don't, but, that's the way it is.
As I said a while ago, I was talking there, and I said, you have that St. Dominic School in St. David inside Laura Landing.
Mm-hmm.
The boat crossing sign between the Laura going inside Laura, and then the bottom road get from Red Gate, the crossing sign need painting.
Need painting, okay.
So I want you to mark it down and...
Well, right, we can send it out, but, it would be helpful if you can call your parliamentary constituency office.
I always meet with him and I have his number, I go talk with him.
Right, because sometimes there are some little things, because the traffic department is really the one responsible for that. But from time to time, you have good corporate citizens, you have people who are willing, they get a bit of paint, and they will take the time and do it with the guidance, and you understand, especially if it's a marking that was there already, you know exactly where you want to paint, you just want to fresh it up. So if you can speak to the Honorable Minister Joseph.
I have a private number, so I'll go with him.
Good. He might be able to organize a bit of paint.
Always once in a while, I will be in the office with him.
Wonderful. Great, man.
Yeah, all right.
Good. Thank you, too, for your consideration and for your comments.
All right, well, Mr. Bola, time is upon us. We are now at the final couple minutes. Anything else you want to say before you leave, or...
Well, I thought that we have had a lot of useful information for this morning from our Honorable Prime Minister. I really do want to wish him and his entire team the very best. Sometimes we forget how hard it is for these people. While they probably are not always engaged in physical work, using the hammer, the saw, a spade or a cutlass, or, driving a massive truck or something, mentally and otherwise, they really do put in a lot. And sometimes they just need to know that they are appreciated for what they are doing. And I know there are those who don't believe that ministers and government officials and so that they work hard. Even some of our senior public servants and junior ones too. There are those who go beyond the call of duty. I just want to thank everybody and say to them, listen, there are many of us out here who appreciate what you do. From time to time, you may get a little flacking because your colleagues, not necessarily you, but there may be colleagues of yours who have not done as well as they should do, or sometimes don't do as well as they should do. And so people, they spread the complaint and the blame and they plaster it over everyone, and you get fitted in or you get plastered in. So, but, for those of you who have been doing good, I say congratulations and continue. For those who know to themselves, who have been told that you're not doing as good as you should be doing, I really hope that you would look within. You would have some introspection and recognize, hey, listen, it's tough times. Maybe you won't get your 4% at the end of this month as you were hoping or expecting, but of course the government say it will come at a later date. And these are things that we'll continue to discuss, but please, let's do it for our country, let's do it for our people, let's do it for the generation to come. Let us allow the history to record us as a people who have made efforts to make this place and to leave this place when we are gone out of it better than the way we met it when we came to it. And to all our listeners and contributors and those who have played a part, ask a question, sent a question, even if you didn't hear it answer, I know that there are some questions that the time didn't permit, or the nature of the question, probably we felt it was better suited for the line minister, but they are going to be written down or posted on to the government on the website, and we seek to have some answers. And as the programs go through, I'm sure the next couple of weeks we'll try to provide some answers to some of those questions that you asked. But we really do hope that you will enjoy the rest of Wednesday. It was a productive morning. It was a nice morning. Started with good sunlight, and then we got some rain. Serious showers fell while you were in studio, but it is the hand of God. It is the work of God. We are grateful for whatever He has given to us. We shall use it in the best way possible, and I hope that you shall use the rest of the day in the best way possible. Let's spread positive vibes, my friend. Let's have a positive mood and attitude, and let's work together to make this little island the best among all of the islands. God bless you. Take good care. Continue to obey the protocols, and we'll talk to you again hopefully tomorrow, please God, when we have another program.
All right, and we have come to the end of our program, and as we say here every day, in whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you. We don't ever want to be talking about you. Please do enjoy the remainder of your day and stay tuned for the National Report.
Deferring 4% salary increase due in 2021 will cost the government more in the long run. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Tuesday, January 19th, 2021, I am Rikisha St. Louis. The request by the government of Grenada to defer the 4% salary increase due in 2021 will actually cost more than if government paid the agreed-upon increases on time. Given the fluidity of the 2019 pandemic and the continuing widespread impact, government is at this point unable to ascertain the exact period of deferral. However, any delayed payment means that compounded interest will apply and the burden of retroactive pay arises. Head of the government's negotiating team, Honorable Oliver Joseph, said it is the first time since government returned to office in 2013 that it will have to resort to retroactive payments. Speaking on GBN's Beyond the Headlines program on Monday night, Permanent Secretary in the Department of Public Administration, Ms. Rhonda Jones, elaborated on this.
The truth of the matter is, deferring the payment indefinitely really is not in the best interest of the government, right? And that is simply because we have worked very hard over the years to move from a situation where we have to make back payments for personal expenditure. That was a very unhealthy period in our financial history. We managed to successfully move away from that type of negotiations, and we are now at the point where we were able to project and to budget for the increases in salary that would come during the course of the 3-year cycle. So at this point, it really is not a pleasant situation we find ourselves in, where we have to now go to workers and say in the middle of crisis, we are not able to honor our obligations to pay you the 4%. But at the end of the day, if we do not meet that obligation for 2021, we do have 8% compounded to pay in 2022. So it actually increases the debt burden for government to be able to honor its obligation the longer we protract on meeting that obligation.
The 4% wage or salary increase for public officers will add $13.2 million to government's annual wage bill at a rate of about $1.1 million per month. Ms. Jones explained that the true cost of wage or salary increases goes beyond the additional money public servants receive.
The real number is actually a combination of the 4% plus the 4% impact on pensions and the 4% impact on the social contributions that's payable. So what we are actually looking at, Odette, is a wage bill that is going to be $337.6 million for 2021. And let me break that number down for you. Salaries, wages, allowances would be $274.8 million. Pension payments would be $48.1 million. NIS payments would be $14.6 million for a total of $337.6 million. The 4% alone is valued at $13.2 million for 2021. So it is not just the salary that increases. There is concomitant increases to other types of compensation that is triggered by a salary increase.
Government first engaged the unions in 2020 when it analyzed the impact of the pandemic on revenue collection, combined with the unplanned expenditure necessitated, and determined that it would be a challenge to meet the additional recurrent expenditure. At a meeting of the social partners on Tuesday afternoon, the 4% increase was also an agenda item. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell assured attendees that in seeking a deferral, government is not questioning the legitimacy of the increase for public officers, but rather it is seeking some consideration of government's inability to increase recurrent expenditure at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted government's revenue collection. In the interest of full transparency, government has proposed quarterly engagements with the trade union representatives and the submission of quarterly fiscal statements on government's revenues. Continuing the news, Minister for Infrastructure Development Honorable Norland Cox says government is disappointed in the recent incident at the stadium car park, which left vendors and their produce exposed to the elements of the weather. During the government's post-cabinet media brief Tuesday, Minister Cox said no member of cabinet was aware of the removal of tents and other amenities provided for the vendors until late Monday evening. Explaining what government became aware of, the minister said the company contracted to provide tents, tables and chairs for the vendors since April 2020, removed the items while the vendors were on the compound selling their produce. Minister Cox described this as unfortunate and a deliberate attempt to embarrass the government.
In discussion, the Ministry of Infrastructure observed that the rate for the service provider, current service provider, was a bit high, and sought to negotiate and sought to look for other service provider. It was observed that another service provider was providing the service at a much less expensive or a cheaper rate than the current provider. However, the current contractor, while his contract was coming to an end, it appears that he probably was not happy that the decision was taken to not continue with him. As such, it appears that there was a deliberate attempt to create some discomfort for the vendors and to create some embarrassment for government, because the tents were removed while the vendors were using it. That is what it appears to us as government, and we are very disappointed by those actions.
He said government has been providing support for vendors since they were relocated in April to facilitate rehabilitation work on the St. George's Market, where they normally ply their trade.
We have been supporting the vendors. We have been paying for services for the rental of the space at the stadium. We have been paying for the tents and chairs, as indicated earlier. We have been paying for cleaning of the area. We have been paying for the skip rental as well. Just recently, as December, as just before the Christmas break, government took a decision, and myself, the Prime Minister, and the parliamentary rep, who's also the Minister for Agriculture, we visited the vendors. We met with them, we discussed with them, we hear some of the challenges, and a stimulus was given to each of those vendors. 11 of them received a cash stimulus, one-off payment in December.
The tents and other amenities have since been reinstated. Following Tuesday's press conference, Minister Cox paid a visit to the vendors at the stadium car park to hear their concerns and provide assurance that government will rectify the issue to avoid a reoccurrence. The Market Square renovation project is expected to be completed by March 2021. This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. The government of Grenada is providing clarity on the current state of emergency and the emergency powers COVID-19 regulations, which includes a curfew between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. daily. Erroneous reports in a television newscast on Monday have created some confusion among members of the public regarding the duration of the curfew. Providing clarity on the matter, Attorney General Dia Forrester explained that in keeping with Section 17 of the Constitution, the initial proclamation by the Governor-General when Parliament is not sitting lapses 21 days from the date of publication, unless approved by both houses of Parliament. Subsequent to the Governor-General's proclamation, the lower house met on January 15, 2021, and approved the resolution. When the Senate meets later this month, members will consider the resolution already approved by their parliamentary colleagues. Once both houses of Parliament approve the resolution, the proclamation of January 11, 2021 will remain valid for a maximum of 6 months. Both the Governor-General and the Houses of Parliament have the discretion to revoke the proclamation in accordance with the provisions of Section 17, subsection 3, subsection 4, and subsection 5 of the Constitution prior to the 6-month period lapsing. Such revocation will be provided as early as the circumstances permit in the best interest of the public and public safety. It is during this period that the COVID-19 regulations, which contains a curfew amongst other matters, are applicable. However, the actual enforcement, adjustment, or removal of the curfew and other matters arising in the COVID-19 regulations will depend on prevailing conditions. The Attorney General explained that, and I quote, "The regulations are under constant review and will be amended periodically with the consistent aim of ensuring public health and safety. We thank everyone for their continued sacrifices being made and compliance with the regulations as we all perform our civic duty aimed at keeping each other safe," unquote. As the nature of this pandemic changes and the threat to lives evolve, the government must continue to take steps in the best interest of the public. The public is reminded to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols, maintain physical distance, wear a mask, especially when physical distancing cannot be maintained, avoid large gatherings, and wash hands and sanitize regularly. Finally, in the news, high on the 2021 priority list for the Ministry of Infrastructure Development is the Sates Breakwater project. The issue of coastal erosion has been plaguing the north of the island for years. Government intervened and constructed the breakwater, which has calmed the waters where it was constructed. The beachfront was restored and the businesses and houses in its direct path were also saved. However, further up on the beach, 8 families have been impacted by erosion of the seashore. Infrastructure Development Minister Honorable Norland Cox said government has engaged a coastal engineering company that will conduct a 3-month study on the area and will make recommendations, so that remedial action can be undertaken. He said they are awaiting a response from the procurement board so that work can commence as soon as possible.
The government, we have responded swiftly to address this matter. We currently have engaged a coastal engineering company who will come in very soon, hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, to conduct a study. The study will take approximately three months to complete. And thereafter, we expect to implement work in terms of final response to that coastal erosion. Most importantly, we are working, we are advancing. We are looking at doing some remedial work to stay whatever coastal degradation that is taking place currently. So the Ministry of Infrastructure is working on that.
The ministry is working along with the parliamentary representative for the area to relocate the families and to provide other assistance to them where necessary.
We have, through the cabinet, took a decision to provide financial support for those 8 families or persons who will be required to relocate. So we are happy with that, and we are working closely with the parliamentary reps in the St. Patrick's area to have this matter addressed quickly. The recommendation is for relocation. The Ministry of Social Development is working with the families to initiate the relocation. However, I believe that 1 or 2 to 3 persons may opt for a unit at the recently commissioned housing scheme, affordable housing scheme in St. Patrick's. So those discussions are ongoing, but it is the recommendation that the 8 families be relocated. So work is ongoing on that.
During Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing, the minister also provided updates on other major projects, including the feeder roads, flood mitigation, and the Western Main Road. That story just ended the national report for today, Tuesday, January 19th, 2021. Let's recap the top story. Deferring 4% salary increase due in 2021 will cost the government more in the long run. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.